Good morning, students. Students, today we will start with a new lesson in civics. The name of the lesson is Directive Principles of State Policy and Fundamental Duties. In the last two chapters, we studied the fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution. We learned what rights Indian citizens enjoy. We also learned that our rights have judicial protection. We also understood the importance of fundamental rights in our individual and public lives. With this background, we shall now understand what the directive principles of state policies are. So, we know that the fundamental rights put restrictions on the power of the government. A few such restrictions upon the states are listed below. The first one says, states shall not discriminate between and among citizens on the basis of caste, religion, race, language, or sex. So there should not be any discrimination, all are equal. Then the second, states shall not deny anybody equality before the law and equal protection of law. So if there are rules made, everyone should get equal rights. The third one, no person shall be deprived of his life. So all have the right to live. And the fourth one says, states shall not impose any religious tax. So related religion, there should not be any taxes taken. The Constitution has given express instruction to the state about what policies it should undertake. This is in the nature of giving directives or guidelines about how to achieve the goals expressed in the preamble. So in the preamble also we have rights to equality, fraternity, okay, right to speak. Hence they are called as directive principles of state policy. Next, let us see why were the directives included in our constitution. So when India won independence, we faced a great challenge of establishing order and carrying out smooth administration. So after independence, we had to face a great challenge. We had to face challenges like eradication of poverty, that means taking out poverty from our country, backwardness and illiteracy. Illiteracy means their people are not educated, had to be urgently pursued. The task of nation building had to be undertaken. For this, new policies had to be drawn up and their implementation had to undertaken. So now we know that our country, India, is not a completely developed country. It's in the process of getting developed. Okay, let's see further. The goals of people's welfare had to be achieved. In short, India had to be transformed into a developed and progressive nation. We all can see that India is slowly but steadily progressing. The Constitution has specified the subjects to which the Union and state governments should give priority in their policies for people's welfare through the directive principles of state policy. Each directive contains a subject for the state policy. The makers of the Indian Constitution had realized that it would require a lot of resources if all these policies were to be implemented at the same time. Okay, so the state should implement this slowly and steadily, one by one. Now let us see some important directive principles of state policy. The first one says the state should secure adequate means of livelihood to all citizens without any gender discrimination. So all the people have the rights to live, whether it be a man or women, all have the right to live in the society. Second, the state should secure equal pay for equal work for both men and women. If a man and a woman is doing the same work, he should get equal payment. Then the third, The state should secure the improvement of public health. There should be improvement, proper hospitals, proper medical stores for the medicines. Okay, so there should be improvements of public health. The state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. We also need to protect the environment because nowadays we see our forests are being cut down. Why it's being cut down? In order so that we construct a building because the population is growing, people don't have place to live. Also, we are wildlife. We see that the animals are getting extinct. We are not able to see animals like, for example, tiger. We are not able to see much animals like tiger. We are not able to see a lot of animals. Then the next, the state shall protect all monuments of historic interest and national importance. Now we have all historical monuments, Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar. We should see that the monuments are kept in a proper way, not to scribble, not to destroy them. Okay. Then the state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interest of the weaker section of the people, especially the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Now we also know that the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people are very poor people. So they should also get the opportunity to take education to get a job. Okay. Next, the state shall offer public assistance to citizens in case of employment, unemployment, old age, sickness. So these type of people has to be taken care. Then the state shall secure uniform civil code applicable to the entire country. That means all the law is equal for all. Next, let us move on to the next, that is directive principles of state policy and fundamental rights are two sides of the same coin. That means these two go together, directive principles and the state policy. Due to fundamental rights, citizen gets the most needed liberty, while directive principles of state policy create an atmosphere conducive to the growth of democracy. Even though we cannot go to the courts if a directive is not implemented by the government. We can pressure on the government in various ways to make a policy in order to meet these goals. Now let us see what are our fundamental duties. Now in a democracy, citizens have a dual responsibility. That means double responsibility. That is, they should not only be vigilant that their rights are not unfairly restricted, but should also fulfill some duties and responsibilities that we have. Now, the Constitution, that is our Indian Constitution, has made several provisions through the fundamental rights and the directive principle of state policies for the people's welfare. That means for the people's good. What are they? The benefits of the various schemes of the government cannot reach all the people if they do not fulfill their fundamental duties. For example, the government has implemented several projects under its Swachh Bharat scheme. Okay, now there is a project implemented, but it is up to us, but it is up to we people. We need to change our habits that we should not make public places dirty. Okay, in order that the Indian citizens become conscious to their responsibility. Only we can't make a scheme called Swachh Bharat scheme. It is up to us that we have to change a habit, not to throw the waste in the dustbin. Okay. Fundamental duties were included in the Constitution. Now there are some fundamental duties of the Indian citizens. We'll see what are they. To abide by the Constitution and respect the national flag and the national anthem. Now we all know when the national anthem is sung or when it's playing, we stand and respect it. Okay, so that is what we have to do. Then next, to cherish and follow the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Now we must cherish the people who have laid their lives for the freedom that we got. So we should cherish them. We should think about them. The next, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, and to defend the country and to render national service when called upon to do so. What is national service? Navy, Air Force, Army. These are all people who are doing national service. We are also doing service, but they are doing service for our country. So we should see that as well. Then to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood, transcending diversities to renounce practicing derogatory to the dignity of women. Then also to value and preserve the rich heritage of a composite culture. Now we have rich heritage, just as I told you. We have national monuments. So we should see how we protect it, not to destroy them. Then also to protect and improve the natural environment and to have compassion for living creatures, not to hurt the living creatures, plants, animals. Okay, they are also living. Not to harm our environment, not to create pollution, not to throw waste. So these are all things we should see. Next, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. Then also to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. Now, that is not our property, that means we should destroy. No, that's wrong. Also to stop violence, not to create fights between people. So, these all things has to be stopped. Then to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher level of endeavor and achievement. Then also to take any decision, whether it be our own decision or whether it be in a group, we should see that our decision is taken properly. Then only our country can move further. Then only our country can get developed. The next, every citizen of India who is a parent or guardian should provide opportunities of education to his or her child or ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. So the parents, that is the guardian, they should have the knowledge that they should educate their children, especially between the age of 6 and 14 years. Next, let us move on to, you can read these dialogues, what these students are talking about. You can read that later. Let us see. Now, what do you think? Girls and boys between the ages 6 and 14 have got the right to education. So, it's a right at that age, 6 and 14, 6 to 14 years to get education. Now, these students in this age group, it is not the right to work at that time. It is their right to study. All the girls and boys in this age group should be in school, only be studying. Yet many girls and boys are not able to go to school because of many reasons. In this age group, that is 6 to 14, many of them, they are not able to go because of their personal reasons. What are the reasons? Let's see. They have to work to help their parents earn a living for the family. They have to work, but that is not their age to work. So that's wrong because they have to get education at that time. Do you think that it is unfair to such children to insist that they go to school? Yes, it's unfair because it is not their right to go to work at that time. It is their right to get education, to study. Okay, so it is unfair. So at the beginning of the civics section, so when we started learning civics, we got introduced to the goals and characteristic features of the Indian Constitution. The first chapter was related to the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution is a book where there are laws and rules made and we have to follow them. So that was the starting. We also considered the rights to the Indian citizen. Then we also seen some fundamental rights which we had and how we have to use our right properly. And the legal protection guaranteed to these rights by the Constitution. We understood the directive principles of state policy and the fundamental duties of Indian citizens. So we also learned about our duties in this chapter, right? What all is our duties. So next year we shall study the administration of our country. So here we end with this chapter. We will learn the next chapter in the next video. Thank you for listening, children. Goodbye. Take care.